Tags. What are they good for? Absolutely something. Right now you're looking at the Markdown version of Logseq, and I'll run you through how you could use, and how you still can, I mean the Markdown version is still available, how you can use tags in Logseq. So one way you could use them is you just write the hashtag, this is a tag, and that creates a page, individual page called this is a tag with the hyphens. And then if we go down to another block and we type this, so this is a page reference, this is a tag reference. In the Markdown version, they both point to the exact same place. It's just aesthetically, it looks different. So one way I've been using the database version is I'll create something like person as a tag, and then we'll go in here, and in the Markdown version you define metadata a bit different than you do in the database version. So you do 2 colons, and then we will write like DOB, we'll create that property, we'll press escape, press shift enter to go down to the next line, and then we'll do like height, press enter, press escape, do like full name as a, so now you've got this metadata here. And if we now look at that file, the actual file itself, you'll see this is metadata defined at the top of the file. So date of birth, height, full name. So while you're still looking there, I will go into this and just write something, literally something, and you'll see it appear there, right? So you'll notice it has a bullet point as well as the aforementioned metadata. So let's go back over to Logseq. I'll remove that. And we can either create a template on the page itself, or we can simply just right click on this bullet and click on make a template, and for the name we'll just call it person. So now you'll notice it's added an extra metadata field called template, and you'll notice that when I hover over these it acts as though it's a page, and that's because it is. So it creates a page for each of these. So the date of birth, height, full name, and the template, even the template one, is technically a page as well. And if we wanted to use that, then we would create a page for John Smith, for example, and in here we would do slash template, and then you'll see the person is listed here, and it automatically populates that, and then we could fill this out like, I don't know, 1970, 180, make him 180, and his full name can be John George Smith. So that's one way that you could do that, right? But the main point is that tags in the Markdown version of Logseq aren't really that useful. I could write a note, just discovered this thing and it's now my favorite thing. And then we could do hashtag favorite. So then you could click on favorite, look at that page, and all of the linked references, you could see all of your favorite things in the world. Okay, let's close that down and we'll bring up the database version and we'll start going through all of the features in the database version. Okay, so I just created a new graph for our tag function discovery. And you'll notice immediately here that, so remember that every day that you use Logseq, it will automatically generate this journal page. And you'll notice here on the right hand side, it's tagged as journal. So when this starts populating, every day will pop up a new entry in this table. Okay, so we'll go through each tag feature one by one. So first up, we've got the task tag. So we'll go through the built-in tags, and then we'll go through in a bit more detail if we have time. I don't want the video to be too long, but we will go through the built-in tags and see how we're doing for time, because I've already covered this in other videos, but we'll see how we go. Get milk, we could then assign it with the task tag. So if you assign anything the task tag, it will automatically come up with the status. So if we go into the task tag and click on this arrow, we will actually see the default properties of each task tag. So each task tag by default has status, which is what you saw here. So this is like backlog to do, doing, in review, done, or cancelled. And then priority. So in priority, you've got 4 choices: low, medium, high, urgent. Deadline, this is date, time, and scheduled is date, time as well. But schedule and deadline work slightly differently. I think both should show up on the journal page. So if we want to schedule our get milk, we can schedule it for today at, I don't know, PM, I don't know, 50 PM. And why did it just 2:55 PM, right? So that's scheduled today. So if you set one of these, so say I set this one for tomorrow at the same time, or in a few days, for example, this will get pushed down the page, right? So today is this day, but remember that every day will show up a new journal entry, and this specific to do will come up in tomorrow's page, right? Slightly down below a little bit. Whoops, I didn't mean to create that. But I was just trying to create another, doesn't matter. All right. I mean, that's the task tag. And so I've created an idea tag, which borrows from the task tag. So if you go here and you extend the task tag, and then you create, like we've done a few times before, we'll create channel and then as a node, right? So this has a new property. So then if you'll notice now, because this node has the idea tag, it's now got the channel, but it's also got the task properties as well. So you can change that to whatever. And the channel, set channel, we don't have any channels, so I can just put YouTube there for an example. And because we didn't select multiple values, it's just restricted to one channel. And if you want to see that working again, test, and then idea, channel, and then YouTube is now already here as an option. We can just pick that. And if you want to add more, you can add a new option as you go. So schedule and deadline is pretty similar, but they separate it because maybe you want to, I'll just put work here, right? And then we want to schedule it. I'll schedule some work for tomorrow, right? But then I'll make the deadline the 24th instead. So schedule tomorrow, and then the deadline is this date. So it's a good way to separate it, and it's a good way to keep it in the back of your mind. Okay, like this is the true deadline, but I'm scheduling time tomorrow at this particular time to get it done. All right, I think that's enough on the tasks. Oh, we can do priority. So if you do /prio or whatever, it will change it. So we're going to say, oh, that's urgent, and it will put it like this. And when you do the task, when you click on the task and then view the table, you can view all of your tasks, their status and their priority. So if we do, say, go to this one and we do /prio, and this one is just low priority, and if we go to the task, like this one can be like medium, and was that all of them? That wasn't. And we'll grab the get milk, and we'll say, oh, that's high priority because we don't have milk, and go back to the task. So now we can see the priority has populated there, and we can then sort by descending. So descending, the highest is urgent, and then it makes its way down the list. So you can search and query for all of your tasks given the priority. I haven't actually been using the priority too much in my actual graph, like my daily graph, but it's good to know. I mean, it might be useful for you. And I wish there was a way that you could set the task status to backlog by default, because I like having them, all in backlog. And then when I actually decide I want to do something, let's pick this one. So I will put it in to do. I haven't actually used doing too much, though it could be a good habit to get into, right? Because that allows you to track the time that something took. And if we go to done, it should, so there you go. So it shows as 8 seconds, and that's pretty cool. So when you click on the amount of time that it took, in this case, 8 seconds, it gives you the status history. So it tells you exactly when you changed the status. So we went from backlog to do to doing and then done. So that's actually quite handy. I'm going to try to incorporate that into my workflow and see how it goes. You can repeat tasks as well. So the only prerequisite to do a task on repeat is to either have the deadline or the schedule property. So we can edit that, and you just tick on repeat task, and like you can do every day it repeats, and you'll notice it comes up with that the 2 arrows there to signify that it's a repeating task. And if you click on next date, it can either advance from completion, so when you change the status from whatever to done, that's when it will skip to the repeat, or you can do it from the scheduled time. Advance from schedule, skip to future. I don't actually know what the difference between those two are. So if you know what the difference between advance from schedule and advance from scheduled, skip to future are, drop a comment, because I am not actually sure. And the way that we can customize tasks, I gave you a brief idea of how that works. So if we create the idea tag and extend the task tag, then we can add additional properties here, and it will inherit the properties from both task and the idea tag. And you're not limited to just one tag. You can do that with pretty much any tag you want. And technically you can even change the task property yourself. You can add extra properties here if you want. I don't know. I find it fine by default. I can't really think of any other use cases where I would customize the task tag myself. And in general, with these types of tools, I try not to customize stuff too much because it's a bit too much cognitive overhead. You have to remember what your custom configuration is, rather than just take the basic and then sort of build on it and kind of gradually build it up as you go. And as we mentioned before, like every day has this journal entry. And as I alluded to a little bit, we can actually use some natural language when we generate a page name. So if we do double square braces, you'll notice there's a bunch of selections here, and no. So I mean, it's limited to what you see here, right? So today, tomorrow, yesterday, next week, this week. I mean, you can just start typing it, and then there's it does come up with a few different options. If we do say, I don't think they're going to have anything for decade, no. So if you do like year, you got next year, this year, last year. What does it put it for this year? Okay. So by default, if you pick this year, it's January 1st, 2020. And then I imagine that next year would be January 1st. Oh, interesting. So we just discovered a way that works. So when you pick this year, it automatically picks January 1st, 2026. And if you pick next year, it picks today's date except next year. What if we do last year? Interesting. That's an interesting choice. So if we go last year, that's a bit weird, isn't it? So it's basically if you want to say like, oh, I remember like on this day last year or something, you might choose this option. But if we go to the journal tag now, you'll notice that we've populated a bunch of days here now. So all of the days that show up in the journal will show up in this table, query table. And that's another point as well. On every tag page, by default, you have this table view for queries. And you can change this table view. If you click on that button, you can change it to the list view. You can change it to gallery view. I'm not sure. I'm assuming if you have pictures in your asset folder, that they will show up as kind of a thumbnail, but I will have to test that. And there are a few built-in tags that I found out about today that I wanted to try. So if we do code, this is a default. Okay, cool. So that tag automatically, this is a code block. But how do we, so this might get a bit annoying on mobile if you're like trying to go to the next block and it just keeps going like that, and you would have to go out and then click in the next block. Okay, so these basically just look like they are just different ways of doing what you could using the Markdown formatting syntax. So if we do this and then do quote it just live every day like it's your last, or something like that. And if we go down, okay, so if you press enter on the quote block, it will go and create a new block underneath. Okay, and then we have a math one. This one should be interesting. Let's see what we can do, because I've been very curious to try what you can do with math. Oh, okay, it's the math syntax, like LaTeX. That's the word I'm looking for. So it formats the math like LaTeX. That's pretty cool. So we could do the old 2 + 2 = 5, and that actually formats it nicely. So I was really hoping you could do some math operations, because, for example, I just bought something, right? And then I would attach an expense tag, and in the expense tag, if you drop this down, I added a property for amount and then number. And this is kind of me hoping that, you know, a future implementation will allow you to do math operations, because then if we click on the expense tag, it'll show amount here. But right now, there is no way for us to add these numbers up. We can remove that first entry that I created, or why does it show up twice? I've had this happen a few times. We can just delete that one. Delete selected block, so it's nice and tidy. New property, no, that's not going to help us. Yeah, so right now we can't, no. That's unfortunate. That's quite unfortunate. I don't know if this tag is going to work. I don't know how to get that one. The PDF annotation. Oh, okay, so we need an actual PDF file. Okay, so that's an automatic thing. So if you import, I don't actually have a PDF on hand that I can use, but if you import a PDF and then you view it in Logseq, and then you highlight something on it, that's when the PDF annotate tag will be invoked. Okay, so that makes sense. So that's quite interesting. I think that's pretty much all we can do with tags. Let me just think of another example where using tags could be quite useful. I'm finding that using tags is quite good for if you want to inventory things, like if you want to keep track of people in your life or stuff. I don't know, doesn't matter. So for example, we could create, oh, I just got myself a new bike, and then we can hashtag bike, and then in the bike properties, we could put a serial. And a serial could be, it's probably best to, I don't know, it's usually, I've noticed that whenever I'm creating a property type, generally I'm going to use text, number, or node for text or numbers, really. I haven't felt the need to use the URL one yet, or I haven't figured out what the asset one does yet. But a serial number is going to be a mix of letters and numbers. So probably would either be best to do text, to do free form, and then you just query the serial property itself if you want to see various serial numbers, if you've got a bunch of bikes or you keep track of your kids' bikes or whatever as well. So text would be good. Node would only be good if you, yeah, I mean, I don't see node being useful in this instance. So then if we go back to here, then it's got a, now you'll see it's got a thing for serial, and then we can just put like, I don't know, whatever the serial is. This is just a random string, so it would probably look something like that, for example. And you could do this with your car if you keep track of cars. Going to note down my car, and then do hashtag, no, not card, car, new tag car, and then we'll go into the car one, and then we'll define, this one would be VIN, right? So vehicle identification number, and that would be the same text. Right, and then we go here and we type the VIN, whatever that is, I don't know, and then that looks a bit less realistic than our bike serial. So those are the ways that I've been most commonly using tags, and I think we've pretty thoroughly gone over the different features of tags. But as you can see, features that tags have in the database version of Logseq are, you know, above and beyond what we had in the Markdown version. And I mean, you had similar functionality in terms of task tracking. So if we just quickly go back to the Markdown version for a sec, and I'll just show you that we already had the task tracking functionality in the Markdown version as well. So if we do like shopping here and then indent it, and we do to do, milk, to do, well, this probably isn't the best example. We'll just say like work, and then we'll do like to do, presentation, website feature planning or something, and do get coffee for the rest of the team. Okay, so you've got these to-dos, right? And then if you click on the word to do, so say I'm going to start working on the presentation, it will come up with this here, right? So you've got now. So what you're doing now in this exact moment is being tracked. So, you know, you go away, you do your work or whatever, and then you either click on that to make it go back to do, or you click on the square to mark it as done. And here you can see that the task took 15 and it's got a rudimentary time tracking. So it's got clock, colon, and then what looks is almost ISO standard date and time. And then it's got like the start time and the end time. And it took 15 seconds. So, I mean, this functionality already existed in the Markdown version. It's basically, we've vastly improved upon it in the database version. I say we, like I'm the one developing all of this, but I don't take any of the credit. I'm just trying to get my head around using it day to day and doing it in a way that, you know, suits us as humans. All right, but that's going to do it. So hopefully that helped you in navigating all of the new features that come with tasks. And yeah, see you in the next one.